Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode. I am so excited that you have decided to join the Space Between. This is season 5. So if this is your first episode to listen to, guys, there's literally 99 other episodes that have come before this. And so we are celebrating over 100 shows here at the Space Between. And so, yay, it is May. And so people are buzzing about the upcoming summer tour of the Dave Matthews Band. Of course, we all start in Tampa, which, you know, I've never been to Tampa, but I'm going to go this year and check it out. So I'm super excited. So like every week, I have a guest on to tell their journey with this band that we love so much, the Dave Matthews Band. So today I have Christina and Thor. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show. Can you tell the listeners who you are, where you are, and how in the world did you meet this band that we love so much, the Dave Matthews Band?
Absolutely. Thank you, Renae, for having us. I'm so excited to get to have your show. I'm fangirling just a little bit.
Well, thank you.
So I love the Dave Matthews Band and everything associated with it. My husband can tell this part, but maybe not exactly as much. I found the band when in about fall of 2003, I wanted to change from having a CD player in my car and wanted to get like 10 changer CD player.
Heck yeah.
A young man at my church, at this little Methodist church I went to, said, you really need an iPod. And I said, a what? And he said, an iPod. I said, I don't know what that is. I had very small children at the time. I was a little sheltered for the last several years. Anyway, got an iPod. The very first thing I put on it, my younger brother, Richard, said, there's this guy who's just released a solo album. This was at Christmas of 2020. I heard the iPod. He said, there's this guy that just released a solo album, but he is part of a band that I think you really like. His name is Dave Matthews. And I said, I think I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with any of his stuff. And he said, okay, I'm going to give you a CD. We're going to load it onto your iPod. So the very first thing I put on my iPod was some metal.
Oof, what a way to start. That's my opinion, but what a way to start.
So I fell madly in love with Gravedigger, and I played that album, CD, iPod, whatever you call it. What are the kids calling it today?
I don't even know.
For months and months and months. I absolutely love the music. And then I found out there are other albums. A friend of mine who was in my probably said, hey, you know, they have other albums, because I think maybe the LZ, I was living in the landing zone of the flight park at this point. Know how it's tired of hearing that really loud on repeat. So I downloaded some more albums, and I never looked back. My friends apparently do like a 6-month session. That was 2003. This is 24. So what is that? 21 years later?
Yeah.
I'm still a huge fan.
Oh, I have so many questions to ask you about switching from Some Devil to a full band, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Your husband, Thor, is also on the show. Thor, where are you from originally, and how in the world did you meet the Dave Matthews Band?
I'm originally from Wisconsin, and I've traveled all over the world. And I had never heard of Dave Matthews until I met Christina.
She was, well, thank you for introducing him.
And actually, I used to call him John Matthews before.
John Matthews. You know that guy, John Matthews? And everyone's like, no, we don't have a clue who you're talking about. So now, Thor, I hear your wife's story. It was kind of like love at first listen. Was it that way for you? Once you realized it was the Dave Matthews Band.
I've never been to a live concert of this. I've been to the North 3 times. We've been to Mexico 3 times, and I love the traveling. But I've watched them on TV and the band itself. The players were absolutely amazing. It just mesmerized me into come out of talent. And it's just had no desire to go and listen to Dave, though.
Oh, so tell us more, because I know the listeners are really tuning in and probably turning it up at this point, because it's not often that we hear things like this on this particular podcast, but I am so open to it. And I have been saying this for 100 episodes now, like, hey, if you don't like the Dave Matthews Band, or if there's parts of it that you don't like, I would love to talk about that. So Thor, thank you for being the first one brave enough to say anything slightly negative about the band. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So what is it about Dave himself that you just really could go without?
Like I said, the band and watching them play, their enthusiasm, their talent is just absolutely amazing. But when he starts singing, it's like somebody's scratching their fingernails on a blackboard.
Now, do you feel that way across the board? Like, because, you know, we all know there's been such a progression in his voice from the time they started until now. I think that his voice, and a lot of fans can say that, you know, if you turn it on, they can almost kind of pinpoint the decade based on his voice. And so do you hear the progression in his voice throughout the years? Or is it just horrible all the way across?
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a progression. I honestly
There is. Christina, things to teach him. Yes.
I would get Christina and said, "Are you sure you have a voice coach?"
He does.
I love Rob, and Rob
Oh my
is such
God.
an awesome person.
He's so good. Rob, yes, I love him. He and who knew? I mean, I guess I should have always known that a voice coach would have a good voice, but you know, I never thought about it.
In Mexico, that
Right?
blew me away. He was so incredible,
So good.
I felt like a proud mom. I was like, oh,
Right. Exactly. So yeah, he does have a voice coach, Thor. And I will say you are not the first one that I've ever heard say that they didn't think that Dave's voice was good. I think that, you know, agree, but I also want to say, yes, I understand that, because I would not vote Dave Matthews as a single person by himself based solely on his voice the best singer ever. No, I would not give him that. Now, what I will give Dave is his performance style, right? Like, he's a great performer. What he does with the guitar and his presence on the stage and you know, his voice, like the whole package, he's fun to watch. And he's evolved, you know, he's so fun to watch. So I think, you know, it's kind of like there's this and there's this, but when you put it all together, it's like, okay, I can handle him not being the it's so hard for me to say. It's like the most dirty words coming out of my mouth. Like, I'm pausing, like, I don't feel like I can say this respectfully, but I have. It's true, Thor. It's true. Oh God, this may not be the best time to break out the Google voicemail information where you can call and leave your thoughts and comments about things we've said on this episode, because we're going to get some hate mail, but that's okay. I love being open and honest about our feelings, because ultimately that's what the show is the fans' opinions, perspective. None of us have got to sit down with the band and really dig into it. So everything we're saying is just our thoughts. And so that's okay.
I have to say, I love Dave's voice. I think it's amazing. It's not like a classically trained, I mean, he's very well trained now, I think, but it's not like a classically trained operatic situation.
Right.
But I absolutely love the cadence and the tone, and of course his lyrics and the music. I don't know. I'm just an absolute nut over there of the whole band.
Yeah. Yes.
Thor always teases me, said, I have 31 shows. I'm like, you've no shows. You've never been inside. But he likes to say that he goes to all the shows because he does. I mean,
well, I think we can count the couch tour. Can we count the couch tour? You were technically there virtually. And virtually counts now past 2020,
True.
virtually at work, virtually at school. Hey, we were virtually at a concert, right?
Right.
So we've been to all.
That's right. When he did his March 2020 thing from his living room, from his home, that was so amazing. So
Wow. I mean, all of those little things we got from COVID that, we look back and we're like, that was terrible. But also, there were some cool things that came from it. We really learned how to adapt as far as meeting up with people online, and virtual everything became a thing. And podcasts became really popular. So I'm thankful for the things that came from COVID. People like to wash their hands now. I'm a nurse. I am ecstatic about that. I'm like, thank God, it's finally people want to wash their hands. All right, guys. So let's talk about, you've just first met the band, or you've just first heard them. You've got your iPod. You're listening to Some Devil, which, if you are listening to this and you're like, what is Some Devil? Some Devil was an album. Okay, so let's back up. If we're going to explain it, we're going to back up. So the Dave Matthews Band started in 1991. Fast forward through time, they'd only worked together as a group. Well, in the early 2000s, and we don't know why, a lot of people, I want to know this backstory so bad, because a lot of people had a hard time with the album Some Devil, which was an album that Dave went out on his own to do a single solo album. He brought in a lot of musical influences, friends, I'm sure, acquaintances, brought him in, did his own album. Now, I did not realize that when that album came out, a lot of people did not like it for the sole fact that they thought that the band was breaking up. They thought, oh shit, Dave's left. He's doing his own thing now. What is happening? So there was a lot of negativity pointed towards that album that I had never even thought about, because honestly, I don't think that I really got into Some Devil until after the fact, and I already knew the future, right? Like, they did get back together. Like, they never separated. It was just like a passion project that he did, and I think he did it so well. I am a big Some Devil fan. I think that whole album is so good. And if you've never done a deep dive into that album, look into it. See first listen to it, but then dig into who he brought in, because that was one of my first questions is, well, if he doesn't have Carter with him, who the hell was the drummer, right? Like, all of those things. And so I encourage y'all to dig into that. So we go from Some Devil, that's what you know, that's what you've heard, and then you switch to the Dave Matthews Band. What were your thoughts when you made that flip?
It was so remarkable to me that it felt like sort of Dave on steroids, to have the whole band.
Yeah.
Have all that depth and complexity in the musical instruments, and then some like voice in the background from some stuff where Carter sings on things or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just loved. It's almost like you find a wonderful book series and then you realize the author's written more things.
Ooh,
Now
yeah.
before we go backwards and listen to all that stuff and just really leaned in. I mean,
yeah.
I felt like it was magic having a whole band.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what a great surprise too. Like, oh shit, there's more. I love that so much. And there was so much more, right? Because basically you hadn't even gotten into the 90s, where a lot of their classic stuff is out, right? I hate saying that too, like classic from the 90s, because I'm like, oh shit, that sounds old. But is it now? I mean, is 30-year-old music old? That's the question of the day. No?
I don't think so. I think it's still wholly relevant.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The thoughts and the ideas behind the songs, the musical styling, the arrangement, that is all, to me, it doesn't ever feel old.
No.
Even though it is that old.
Right.
It's remarkable to me.
I agree. Really. I agree. So, Thor, let's talk a little bit more about your voyage. So it sounds like you really got hooked up with the Dave Matthews Band through Christina. And so, Christina, tell me about that mingle. Like, how do you introduce someone to something that you're so passionate about?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
Except by playing it a lot.
Yes.
And saying, well, and this is the other part. Okay, this is the other funny part. So Thor does not really like live music at all.
Okay.
The only well, like there's a couple things, but his real passions were like George Winston.
Uh-huh.
He loved George Winston, and so we drove up to Virginia in the rain at night to go see him. That was incredible.
Very incredible.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and he kind of likes Jimmy Buffett. You'd never see Jimmy Buffett live, have you? So when we found out that George Winston had passed this past summer, we were both so sad.
Mhm.
And because he also is a huge Johnny Cash fan, Christian Thor is, he was sitting quietly on the couch at our friend Jeffro's in Bend right before the Ben show last year. And Thor said it, he turned and looked at us. He said, "Hey, you know what? I think I follow the dead." And we were like, "What?" And he said, "No, because Johnny Cash is dead and George Winston is dead, and then we got to George and Jimmy Buffett died. He's like,
Mhm. Oh,
I know. That's a
that
lot.
kind of stinks to have all of your favorites pass away and move on. But the beautiful thing about music is that we have it forever, right? Like we don't have the body that did it, but we have it forever. And I found so much joy in that because, especially with the band that has been going on as long as the Dave Matthews Band has, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know the future, but I do realize that these guys continuously get older just like we do. And how much longer do we have? And, we've talked about things like we're going to need support groups once this is all over, right? Because it's such a big part of my life. It sounds like it's of your life, so many people's lives. And so the comforting measured in that and all, and it doesn't make me feel 100% better, but there is some comfort in knowing that we will have this music forever. So whenever the fun is over, as far as having live shows, or maybe not even having the band looking like it does now, maybe it's minus a member, we will always have the music. So Thor, I understand that. I mean, I don't understand it on your level because no one that I've just loved so much has ever passed away musically. And so, I hope we have many, 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 many more years with the Dave Matthews Band. I don't know how they feel about that because, Carter being 65 or however old he is, I mean, like legitimately old enough for retirement. And, I don't know what his family life looks like, but, there are things that come with age and things like grandchildren and just things that you could have never planned for or knew how that was going to feel or how that would affect your life. And so, I hope we have a lot more years, but also I stand by the statement that I want them to do it as long as they are happy doing it. The moment that they are not happy and I don't feel like they'll do it if they're not happy. I don't think so. But,
Right.
You never know. There's such a demand for them still. And I, some days I wonder, does the demand outweigh their want to? I don't know. Those are questions that only the band can answer, right? We may never know. So let's talk about you. You've gone from Some Devil to the band. And then at what point do you go, hey, I think I want to see them like with my eyes?
Sure. Well, I had wanted to and had small children at the time, was trying to run some businesses. And so my very first show was in my hometown of Atlanta, where I was born, at Piedmont Park. So 987, the Piedmont was my first live show.
Oh, wow.
Which
Now, is
was-
that the one that's out on?
Yes. live at
Holy
Piedmont Park.
shit. That's a great concert.
It was amazing. It was an incredible show. And I
Yeah.
went with my friend Jen, and we actually stayed at my grandmother's house around the corner and walked to the show, to the park.
Oh, that's nice.
From Ansley. Yeah, it was amazing. And it was mind blowing. And I thought, okay, well, I can never not go see them again. I have to keep forever any chance I get.
Yes.
And I think we talked offline about, I think it's every season, from a summer show, I buy all these tickets, and then I got probably half of them. Tickets away, or
Yeah.
sell them real cheaply. We actually reviewed them with Dane and Tim in 2018. And at the last minute, work kept me from being able to go. So we had to cancel, and I sold the tickets so cheaply to a young man who was a school teacher. Anyway, our friends Jay and Emily went, kept their tickets, and went to Mexico and met some of our now very best friends on the planet, Kevin and Lori, and they all had me high Dave Weston because he loves the band the way I do.
Yeah.
Right? And his wife Lori was awesome, enjoys the band,
Uh-huh.
but it's not the same thing for her. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah. No, I have that same kind of marriage. So, yes, it does make sense.
So they had never done Gorge, and our friend Emily kept telling them after they met in Mexico, we're going to the Gorge in fall of 18. You have to go with us. And they're like, we're going across the country with people we've only seen in situ.
Yeah.
Mexico with lots of to do. But they did. They showed up. And it's the rest is kind of history for our connection. Right?
Wow. Wow. Yes. And don't you love this community of fans? And I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what this podcast is about is the community of fans around the Dave Matthews Band and how incredible it is. Have you ever been, and truthfully answer this, because I mean, I have not, but have you ever been part of something like this before, as far as like just how the fans of the Dave Matthews Band really do work together and want to know each other and invest in each other, and we find each other through this common thread, but then it ends up being lifelong relationships.
Sure. I would say the hospitality industry. Thor and I have a vacational management company, and the people that we connected to in that industry, there was not one focused thing, but it was about being hospitable and giving hospitality to others.
Yeah.
And we really connected with some incredibly stellar people. And you sold our business in June of 22 after 8.5 years, and about 7 or 8 years prior to that, just operating our own.
Uh-huh.
But we still stay connected to those people.
Awesome.
Even we're not still in the business. And so,
Right. You really became friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did. And there's something about supporting each other, kind of how the band has that be kind always,
Mhm.
and our fans support each other. And it's, I mean, if I'm in a city by myself going to see the shows, I know that my family's there.
Right.
I guess I don't know anybody that's there.
Exactly.
Their family. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. They say that you're never alone at a Dave Matthews Band concert. And, if someone's listening to this and that makes no sense to them because they've never been to a show, or maybe they're just listening to this because, it's one of your friends and they're like, oh, God, here we go with Thor and Christina talking about the Dave Matthews Band. What does that mean if you go to a Dave Matthews Band show, you're never alone? I'll share my perspective, and then I'd love to hear yours as well. My first Dave Matthews Band show was with someone, but then my second show, I was alone. But I never felt alone. Like, it just, the people were so hospitable. They were so kind. And I'm a talker though, and maybe that's the difference. I don't know, because I have a feeling that you're probably a talker too. Like, it just doesn't bother me to talk to strangers. I just talk to whoever will listen, honestly. And so maybe that was the difference. But after, doing this podcast for so long and talking to people that go to Dave Matthews Band shows on the regular, I do hear the same, is that you're never alone. People are so kind. People do speak to you. Is there anything you need? Or even just the excitement of the show when it's going on. If they know you've never been, or if they know you're alone, they're going to take you under their wing if you will allow them to. You have to be very open to chilling with strangers, right? And I understand that not everybody is cool with that. But I mean, in my experience, it has never gone wrong. I mean, can you guys speak to that as far as like, what would it mean to tell someone that if you go to a Dave Matthews Band concert, you're never alone? What does that mean to you guys?
Well, to me, it's knowing that we have the same love of the band and we have this same vision of how people should interact with kindness.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the case because there's always somebody to help. If you need something or somebody to connect to, somebody to walk. If you're in District 9 for the Gorge, walk that mile with, right? But
yes.
I got a cool story about the connection between our hospitality business and the band, which is our dear friend Jeffro. He worked in the hospitality industry, kind of in the C-suite company that was one of our vendors.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea he was a fan. And we were early at a conference. I think it was in Texas, maybe San Antonio, Minneapolis. Anyway, some city, we were at a conference. We were registering early, and I don't know him well, but he's standing over there. He's got a T-shirt from the show. And I went run up to him with a fool. I think you and I probably do share that. But it didn't talk to anybody. I went run up to him like a bull, and I said, Jeff, hey, are you a fan of the band? And he looks at me. He's this real guarded look, and he's like, sure.
Oh no.
He said, are you a fan? I said, I'm a huge fan. He said, okay. What's your favorite song? I said, right now I've been chasing Granny and kind of a little big-eyed fish. But it changes every season. And he got this huge grin and he said, wow, you really are a big fan.
Oh.
And I said, yeah, but Gorge. And he said, yeah, we used to go a lot, a bunch of friends. And I said, well, we're going to go in the fall. This was like in June or July. I said, we're going in the fall. We'd love to have you join us. Where do you live? He said, I'm in Bend. I said, please come go to Gorge with us. And so without knowing any of the rest of these people, he had literally loaded up his pickup and drove and met us and camped with us at the Gorge. And we became lifelong friends.
That's amazing. I love how guarded he was in the beginning. Like, okay. He almost tested you, right? Like, yeah, okay, what's your favorite song? And if you say ants, I don't know how long this conversation is going to go on. Nothing against ants. I love it. I listened to it this morning. It was like an early version, where Carter's hitting that drum for like 25 minutes and you're waiting like, what the hell is happening? But that was the hook, right? Like, I think that's what hooked even anyone, is like, okay, we're hearing this. Surely something else is about to happen. And you're listening. And then it does happen. And you're like, oh, shit. Okay, I understand why they did that. It was kind of like they were reeling us in. How long will they wait? And we waited, and it ended up being amazing. But I love ants. But it is not traditionally a song that you're going to hear someone say is their favorite song.
Like deep tracks only.
Yeah. I mean, if you love ants, call me. Yeah. I have a new Google voicemail. This is the perfect time, right? Google voicemail. So the space between part of season 5 that we're introducing, it's my show. I am introducing the Google voicemail. So you can call, leave a voicemail. And if it's nice and kind and wonderful, I will air it on the show. So that number is 479-259-1630. So if you love ants, call my Google voicemail. Let me know why. I would love to hear. I'm definitely a fan of everything the band does. But so let's talk about favorite songs. And you said, that's a hard one to nail down, and it can change from minute to minute some days, right? Like you're like, oh shit, this song really spoke to me. What is it today for you guys?
But what's your favorite song?
Satellite.
And you know what? That's okay. That's okay.
Well, and to be fair, one of our dear friends, that's their tea songs. So that's the other reason.
I do hear that a lot. And I want to say that the Dave Matthews Band really tripped up a few fans who traditionally think that Satellite is the time to go to the bathroom. I believe it was Deer Creek 2023. They started out with that. Everybody flees to go to the bathroom. And then what the fuck does the band do?
If they flip it,
They're like,
I was not there.
they go into something else, and then like everybody starts running back. So Satellite now scares me. I'm like, we have to stay. This is not the real song.
That's right.
Favorite song? God, yeah.
I had to confess a thing to the whole world right now. The whole world is fit. And that is, I think I know the words to many versions of almost every song, but I never can call the name of the song. Like, I am terrible about calling the name of the song.
But it's fun, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah. I love that game.
I dated a husband we call Shazam. My friend who's an appraiser, Sean from Florida, she's come with us a couple of times to different shows, particularly divorced, and she nicknamed him Shazam because he literally sees Brian give Dave a guitar and he'll say, Dave's going to play blah, blah, blah next. So we call him Shazam because he always calls the song.
I love that game so much. And I almost at times I don't like to tell people that I like that game because a lot of people hate people that do that, right? Like, oh, she always has to guess what song out loud they're going to play. And, you know, whatever. People hate that. And I think it's just like, for me, it's kind of just been like the next level of fanhood, right? Like there's so many levels of fanhood, like this is a game or something. But for me, it is, right? Like I love to try to figure out everything I can about this band. And that's just the nerd in me. Yeah. But like to be able, that's literally what I'm working on right now is I'm pretty good at name the tune. And I have gotten to the part where, you've got to start memorizing the guitars. Okay, he's got this, blah, blah, blah. This is a song. And I love that he can do that. That's the game I'm working on. And for some songs that, you know, there's some that are dead giveaways. Like if Dave pulls out the electric guitar, there's only a handful of songs that could be. So that one's pretty easy. If he pulls out a red guitar, it's pretty easy, you know. So there's some things, but yeah, I love that levelhood of fan and fanship. So never, I want to be standing right next to you next time you try to call the song. I love to hear what people hear, right? And the band notoriously kind of tricks us on purpose. And so, you know, sometimes it may sound, and it very well is the beginning parts to whatever song, and then they just segue into something completely different, kind of like a fuck you from the band, but in a nice way, right? But like in a nice way. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So guys, let's take a minute to do something I have never done on this show, but here's a little history about this. So before I started the podcast in November of 2022, I did something called Dave Matthews Band Trivia on my Facebook group. And so that is where this podcast kind of originated from, was through trivia and just the fact that we loved nerding out together. We'd get a group together and just kind of dissecting this band and just hearing notes as far as like, what do you know? What do you know? And honestly, like if you're, look at this, I have a whole literal notebook, and I know you guys can't see this that are listening to it, but I have a whole notebook that every page is typed and it's full of Dave Matthews Band trivia questions. I literally carry this to every show. Like it's the Bible of the Dave Matthews Band. And because I'm always so ready to add to it, because as we travel and meet new fans, there are people that know things clearly that I don't. And so then that's just more information for my book for me to use later. And so if you guys will, are you guys open to doing some Dave Matthews Band trivia?
Sure, I'm terrible at trivia.
Oh, no. I think that you're going to know more than you want. And so I will start out with some easier questions. And guys, if you're listening to this, we are going to do this in a way where it is fun for you to listen to it too. And if you have some additional trivia questions that you think would be fun to air on the show, definitely give my Google voicemail a call, the space between 479-259-1630, and give me some trivia questions, and I'll also give you a shout out on the show. So, okay. Question number 1. And there's no time limit. I'm not going to do the Jeopardy theme song or whatever during this. We're gonna talk about it and we'll give the listeners a little bit of time to think about it too. Okay. Question 1. Here we go.
We're gonna call.
Yeah, we do. Okay, Kevin, I don't know who you are, but call on to the space between. We're looking for you.
My Dave husband.
Your Dave husband. Okay.
Right.
Here we go. Butch Taylor joined the Dave Matthews Band on stage at many live shows. In what capacity?
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Do I need to wait for the guest
Ding,
to
ding, 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 ding. I said I wasn't going to, but then I just felt the need. Okay, so one more time. Butch Taylor has, of course, joined the Dave Matthews Band on stage live many times, and I won't say much more about that. But in what capacity? Like, was he an electrician for the band? Like, was he just a like who the heck was Butch Taylor? Do you guys remember that name or know that name?
I do know who that is.
Okay.
And he was a member of the band for a period before I became a fan. If he is a keyboard player, I'm sure there are other instruments he plays.
That's right. Ding, 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 ding. You won like $1 space between podcast bucks, which are worth nothing. Yay! You're the first winner. So yeah, Butch Taylor was a member of the Dave Matthews Band for many years, and he did play the keyboard. Oddly enough, this is a weird segue, but also awesome. I had some dudes on my show. Names. Terrence and Sean were their names. They are musicians based out of Virginia. They actually recorded with Butch Taylor in the last couple of years. I guess Butch is doing some mentoring, but also, helps people with their recording processes, gives them tips, tricks, ideas, things like that. And so if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely listen to them because Butch is still in the music industry. He's just no longer with the Dave Matthews Band for whatever reason. So, okay, question number 2.
Woo, pressure's on.
I think, yeah, the pressure's on. So I'm going to read this one twice, just for those that may be listening in the car and their kids are screaming, but you're still listening to a Dave Matthews Band podcast, and thank you. Okay. What is the Dave Matthews Band fan association, I guess, if you will? What is the name of their fan group officially that you can pay money to be a member of? And if you are a member of that group or association, you can sometimes get discounted tickets to shows.
Would you know this answer?
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the building they have.
True. There's a song named this. Yeah, there's a song. They have a song named this.
Yeah. Warehouse.
It is the Warehouse. Yes. So the Warehouse is is a song. But in 1998, the Dave Matthews Band, of course, formed the Dave Matthews Band fan group. Like if you're a Taylor Swift fan, you know, everybody has like their fan groups. You can be an official member of their fan, whatever. And so this is what the Dave Matthews Band started in 1998, was called the Warehouse. You pay, I believe it's $30 a year, something like that. It may have gone up, $30. And what that allows you to do, you do get a free gift every year. You do get access to a couple of things online, but also the highlight of it is they do a ticket lottery. So Warehouse people, someone told me the percentage of tickets that the Warehouse gets from any given show. And it was a lot smaller than I thought. I want to say 15 to 20% of the tickets go to the Warehouse. And I could be wrong. If I am, call my Google voicemail, 479-259-1630, and let me know, because I want to know so I can say everything correctly. But something along 15, 20%, maybe less than that. I don't know. And they basically do a ticket lottery. So you can request tickets to whatever shows are listed. And you may get them, you may not. You may get lesser ones if you opted into if you chose, you wanted to get pit tickets. But they can give you lawn if you opt into that. But the beauty of that is you're going to get tickets at a considerably less price than you would ever find through Ticketmaster, StubHub, any of those secondary markets. For example, Las Vegas was the first full band show of 2024. I'm like, what year are we in? 2024 is the year right now. I can't believe it. People were buying tickets for stupid amounts of money, and I somehow scored tickets through the Warehouse. They were $99. And so I felt really good walking in there, knowing that others had spent thousands and I had spent less than 100. So there are perks to the Warehouse. So definitely check it out if you're a fan. Now that $30 does not guarantee you anything, but I think $30 is a really good gamble on the what ifs in life. So definitely support the Dave Matthews Band by becoming a Warehouse. I get nothing for supporting them, but hey, I support the Dave Matthews Band. So if you're listening to this, I get zero kickbacks for this, but I'm open to it. Okay, here's some really random information for those that know way too much about the Dave Matthews Band. And when I say that, I mean like we've dug into who these guys are. And there is many levels of that. What are their kids' names? I mean, you can go as deep and stalkish-y as you want to, but here's one of those questions, maybe a little stalker, but also available on like Wikipedia. So it's public knowledge. What company did Dave Matthews' dad, what company did Dave Matthews' dad work for in New York?
New York. I don't know. I might have to phone a friend.
I would, you know what? Can we do that? Is that something we can do?
I mean, it's your show.
Oh, we can. We absolutely can then. And so while you're phoning a friend, this is exciting. This is a first.
Again.
Oh, I hope he answers. But if not, can we leave a voicemail?
We can.
Oh, it'll be like, yeah, I kind of hope we get to leave a voicemail.
Hey. Hello. How are you, my friend?
Been doing.
Hey, we're recording a podcast with Renae called The Space Between. And she asked me a Dave Matthews Band trivia question that I don't know the answer to. And I thought maybe it would.
Yeah, she's phoning a friend. I don't know if you can hear me. Yes.
You can hear her?
I should barely hear her.
Okay.
Hi.
So do you know what company Dave Matthews dad worked for in New York? Do you know anything about that?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you got it. You won $1 from the Space Between podcast, and it's worth nothing.
It was correct.
You were right. You were right. So we're going to do one more question. If he wants to stay to help you, then... Okay, here we go. This is the last question for this episode. So in 2005, which movie did Dave Matthews appear in? I'm going to read that one more time for the listeners. In 2005, which movie did Dave Matthews appear in?
I know this one. Do you want me to tell it, Kevin?
You got it.
Because of Winn-Dixie.
Ding, 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 ding. Man, you guys are walking away with 3 Space Between podcast dollars, which again is worth nothing. I'm so proud of you guys.
I'm fabulous, I know it. Hi, my friend.
So this was great. This was our first time to do Dave Matthews Band trivia with our friends, and we even got to phone a friend. And so how excited. This guy did not wake up and realize he was going to be on a podcast today, did he? Surprise, surprise, surprise.
This is how the band is. So that's Kevin, my late husband, who our friends Emily and Jay met in Mexico. He and his wife Lori in 2018. They came out to the gorge not knowing any of us except Emily and Jay. And I could call him 24/7, 365 and say, Kevin, I need you. And he would drop what he was doing and come out.
I love that.
No questions asked.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, and it's honestly kind of rare to find friends with that kind of commitment. So, wow. I mean, that's
And Lori are just jewels.
I
just would
love that. I love that. And that's been my experience as well with the people that I have met. Just good people. And I think it's a reminder that, and I think we need reminders that there are still really good people on this earth right now. You know, every day we wake up, we turn the TV on, and the news, reminds us of how many bad things are happening right now. And that is true. And there will always be that. But I think we do need reminders of the good things that are still happening and that people are still lovely. There are some absolutely amazing people on this earth right now. And so I'm so honored to have had the ability to meet a lot of these people, to meet this band who, is still so relevant. Like we were saying earlier, still so relevant and putting out music. I mean, my God, they just released their last album in 2023. And I don't think it will be their last. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Do you think they will continue to put out music for a few more years?
I think they will, and I certainly hope they will. I feel like there are still a lot of stories to be told, and particularly Dave's ability of words with lyrics, and the whole band's ability with music to tell an incredible story and to create understanding in situations. I think they just have a remarkable way of providing us a framework for our lives. And so I think they will, as long as they are physically able to continue doing it.
Yeah.
And I hope that will be a long time.
Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure. As long as they're happy doing it, that's what I always say. Then I hope that they continue for a long time, because I certainly will say that I need it. I want it. It's something that, I think about on the daily. And to think about my life without it is like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Like I said earlier, I'm going to have formed some kind of Dave Matthews Band fan support group, because we're going to need to still talk about it. And as if it never left.
You know what? In 2020, everything got canceled in 2020. And we had all plans to go to the gorge. And of course, that got canceled. The tickets got delayed to 2021. And so our friends Jay and Emily have a beautiful house on the lake in Johnson City. And so they said, okay, we're doing Labor Day at our house, and y'all all come. And so we all came and stayed 4 or 5 days. And so now we did it kind of a quarterly thing at a different location. We do New Year's Day at our house in North Alabama.
Oh my goodness.
And it is like, it's magic that the 8 or 10 of all of us, depending on how we did both can get together and do that. And it's like a support group, Renae.
It is.
It's already happening, and we're still getting live. and do music. So
Yeah. I mean, that just means our support groups are going to grow before we actually really call them support groups, right? We're going to meet all the new people. So, this episode will be releasing right in the height of Summer Tour about to start. So let's talk a little bit about Summer Tour. You guys are in Alabama, so you're not very far away from some things that are going to be happening in 2024. Are any of the summer shows in your horizon?
yes, have tickets, we'll travel. I don't care what the plans.
Or don't have tickets, still will travel, right?
We'll travel. We'll show up and go, hey, man, you got some tickets?
There's always tickets.
There's always tickets. Well, we're definitely doing West Palm. We're not doing Tampa this year because I'm teaching West Virginia those 2 days prior. But we're definitely doing West Palm. I have tickets to SPAC. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. So that July 4th weekend, I really would like to do for sure. We already have tickets to Ben and Board, so we're definitely doing those.
Awesome.
I might last minute not down to Africa. That's a possibility.
How far is that from where you are?
2 hours.
Oh
It's not
God,
far.
yeah. You gotta go. Dave
Yeah.
needs you.
Right? Dave, I know, right? Poor he's just about that.
I don't
You know what? We do pay their salaries, so
That's right.
they
That's
do
right.
need us.
We do need it. We do need it.
We do have a lot of night in our budget for Dave.
Well, that is true.
God, I know.
We have a ticket line item, and I could probably go ahead and retire if we didn't have the Dave budget ticket line item.
I know, but it's worth it, right? It's worth to continue, keep working so that we can feed the beast inside of us, as Dave would say, right? Although that's a completely different beast, but hey, but we worked it in, didn't we?
That's not what that means. I'm so surprised.
I will plead the fifth. Although, I never really know because we can't ask the man that wrote the song. But my thoughts are, no, he's talking about something completely different.
Different.
Yeah. So, guys, I will be in West Palm Beach. So, in the space between, we'll be in West Palm Beach. We are putting on a Night Zero party. So, definitely look online for those details. It's a huge party in West Palm Beach. I've never been. So, this is my first year. And, of course, first year, come in, host the party, right? Like, why not?
Right.
Why not? But, well, guys, if you're listening to this and you are going to be part of the 2024 Summer Tour, just know that the space between will be doing Night Zero parties at Tampa, West Palm Beach, Houston, and Dallas this year. So definitely be sure to look on social media for those times, locations, and we will be doing live interviews. So if you've always wanted to share your story with the space between, we will be recording right there at Night Zero. So definitely come out. And if nothing else, come get a t-shirt, come get a sticker, come say hi, whatever. We definitely want to meet you. My husband is making the trip with me. And okay, so let me tell you, you said your husband is, maybe not the equal of yours as far as fanhoods go. I can understand that. My husband met the Dave Matthews Band when he met me.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think he had always been aware, because of the times that we grew up. He was born in 80. And so he was 11, when the band started. So obviously neither one of us listened to the band in 1991. It was more like coming into the 2000s that we really kind of learned about them, which was still a great time. As you said earlier, the 2000s were some really good times for the Dave Matthews Band. And so he was aware, but never listened to them. He was more into, in the 90s, even though he was young, grunge, still big Nirvana fan, still he loves, his favorite artist is Chris Cornell. Obviously he's no longer with us, but still really enjoys that music. So he was more of that genre, never went into the Dave Matthews Band. But then literally as soon as he met me, he discovered real quick and in a hurry what the Dave Matthews Band was about, and it has not stopped. And probably if asked, like, hey, here, Justin, what's one thing that you wish your wife would give up? It's probably going to be the Dave Matthews Band. But also he sees like how much love I get from it and how much I enjoy it. And I always joke, like, he's very much into college baseball. Like, that's his Dave Matthews Band. Like, he loves it. He watches every game and goes to Omaha if they go to Omaha and all the things. And so, I think it's important to each have your own passions outside, of each other. And as long as we're supportive and then, you don't have to be a big fan of the Dave Matthews Band to,
Right.
it's cool. It's cool. We know a lot of other people who are totally into, and that's why we get like Dave husbands, right? Like we just pick a guy out that will, get everything you say. And then you're like, you're my husband.
I go to the concert at, particularly like at the door, and there were 2 days stand. West Palm's like that. After the show, you gotta like talk about it and digest it. They play this and not that, and will they play this tomorrow?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. I hate the kind of fan I am sometimes because the things I do, like I don't even think about it before I do it, but I will never forget I was at SPAC. No. Or was I? God, I don't even remember. I was somewhere and they started to play Seek Up. What is the first thing I do? I pull my phone out, press the timer to start, and I time the whole fucking thing because I was like, I want to see how long this is. Why? Well, I mean, if you listen to the band enough, you know that Seek Up is one of those extended songs that it could be 4 minutes, it could be 24 minutes. No one knows. But I'd say that's pretty true to most of their songs. But for whatever reason, it was, that particular one was 18 minutes long. So
wow.
I'm glad I timed it. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about after the shows is, guys, can you guess how long that Seek Up was? Like, stupid. It's stupid. It's a stupid level of bandhood that I'm at. But there are other people that get that, right? They share in that and love that. So, guys, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your small journey. And I know we have so many years with the Dave Matthews Band. It would be hard to put it all in one show. So, guys, I invite you to come back, especially after we've soaked up some 2024 dates. I'll have to have you guys come back on the show and we'll talk more about 2024.
Sounds good. There is one other story I want to relate. My very first trip to the gorge was 2013, and my daughter Catherine and I went. We flew out there, had never been out west, that like across back to the Columbia River. Woke up from camping next morning, we were like, well, this is the desert. That happened. Like we thought it was going to be Seattle, right?
Right.
And that was the year in 2013. Catherine and I came over to the hill, and we sat down in that plane, and all of a sudden, a little Led Zeppelin, Kashmir. It was, she and I looked at each other like, is this really happening? And they proceeded to play the whole thing. And like you said, she was like, Mom, playing this. This is crazy. What is happening right now?
Yay. I'm glad you said that because now I don't feel like a complete weirdo.
No, you're not.
I know I'm not the only one timing the songs. I know that, but it is kind of weird. Like I would imagine if you bring in like a friend that had never been to the show and you break out a timer, that's weird to other people. So, whatever. It's all relevant, right? Like, this is normal. And they're like, no, it's not.
No, if you know, you know.
That's right. And yeah, I'll agree on the gorge. Like I've just been the one time. And when I got there, I mean, I was aware of what people had said it would be like, but it is so weird driving from Seattle to the gorge because the landscape changes drastically. It's wild. You're like, oh, this is so beautiful. I see the mountains and all the stuff. And then you go through like the desert and you get out there and you're like, oh shit, this is in the middle of nowhere, literally. Well, guys, I can't wait to have you back on so we can talk more about this band that we love so much. But guys, if you were listening to this, just know that if you want to see who the upcoming guests are on the show, be sure to stay tuned to all of our social media on Facebook, where it's under a group called The Space Between Podcast. On Instagram, it's simply the POD, and then TikTok, it is The Space Between. And guys, don't forget about my Google voicemail. You can always call request topics. You can leave hints, tips. Did you know the trivia that we talked about today? A phone number is 479-259-1630. You won't get me directly because it's a voicemail, but I encourage you to leave those and we will play them on the show on upcoming episodes. So guys, Christina, Thor, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you, Nay. It was lovely to be here.
Absolutely. So guys, hold tight and we will see you next week on another episode of The Space Between. In the meantime, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.